operations division. As you know, this is our branch offices, information processing, commercial vehicle operations, and driver improvement and information. Just our data, there are 193,000 credentials to 777 registrations, 102 online. 107 million, over 107 million juvenile transactions. We currently still only have 10 offices open in Bryan offices. We have 9 at Middlebury, with their Middlebury office was in the court building. And it was open hand Tuesday.
Yes, it has been. Actually, it's
5 days a month. So pre-COVID and during COVID, we closed the down and this time we don't have any, these fire budget not to include it in case there were discussions. But we don't, it was the it's called the branch office. And customer security, which we had to pay additional money for. Right. But I think one of the things that are changing is you don't have to go in and renew your license. You can do it online. You can do your registration online. And I think that is that's a change. And I think, you know, we're going to talk about it. Stats, it's not up here, but last year we served 230,000 customers with a 30-minute, which we are now going to see we served 129 customers with appointment, 33,000 logging customers within 15 minutes. South Burlington is always the busiest, and South Burlington right now we are going through significant changes with the branch manager. We have some of our a couple of our employees on the big team. We have reasons, so we've been feeling in South Burlington.
It's a great place to visit, so you're all welcome to come to South Burlington. Lots of other places to stop. My question has to do with your previous slide. What are the transactions that still happen in person, assuming coverage tests? But what are the transactions absolutely must be in person, and the remaining that are still in person? What they could be more online, and should we be actively trying?
So you're always going to have to come in some DVD when you change your name. You have a new photo, if you change the type of driver's license, you're always going to have to come into DMV when you need a title, when you need to validate documents. Sometimes you're always going to have to come into, not always, and so I'm looking at Mike and Nancy. If you are getting your license reinstated, that you're going to have to come in or your registration reinstated. And if you have something, you know, regarding judiciary and everything's cleaned up, you have to come in and present it. You always come in at this point in time to take any vote exam. And then there's evidence in the CDL room that you are always going to have to come in and be anything that we provide on and they're utilizing score system, we will make that service available. It doesn't, I don't think we're in a place that everyone's going to use it. And I think once we go online, we're going to have to either do more educational outreach because people need to trust it. And they have to, and we have to become more and more efficient with the delivery. Mike and Nancy, would you add anything to that?
got it all covered. We have out-of-staters that'll move in, and clearly they need to come in person as well to get that new license and new registration with us.
You need it.
what they do
Yes.
to your photograph. Honest to God, it looks like you've got a halo over your head or something. Yeah, you look like you, looks like you.
Is he singing?
You look kind of fleshy. Oh, no, when they were, did you have a new, photo for that, or did they take the old one and just,
Basically, only.
Yes.
oh?
I got mine still working on extra days a week.
There are 22 security enhancements. That's why it's the color. You know, we talk about it in the best practices, and our previous, well.
Oh, you're checking your work.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really work. And that's. We can do trivia sometime if you're bored on that license and see how many security elements you find.
On this slide, there's 7,000.
Well, numbers don't include permits, right? So you get your permit before you get your CDL, so that number does look overinflated because some of the people got two.
And I know there's a lot of conversation, you speak with your constituents. But on a day-to-day, DMV is not feeling shortage. You know, businesses or maybe businesses have got a line and the shotgun wants to, you know, talk about it. How did you experience the shortage? Because what happens when there's a shortage, we're getting the phone call saying, we have a shortage. What can you do to accommodate us? How can you get these people into test? Can you come to my location and test? And I will tell you, when I get those phone calls, we sit down as a team and we come up with a plan and we accommodate where we can.
We usually hear that there's a shortage of school bus drivers. They're always advertising them.
No, we're gonna, that's what we're hearing a little bit about the school bus drivers, about the demands of. That they think the CDL is over, that they're underqualified for the CDL, and demanding that they know. But I have expected.
As long as there's two things on the Vermont side, we could modify, but.
So back to this PowerPoint though, all of our knowledge exams are now online now. So that, I said, if you look at the data, 16,641 last year. For individuals that didn't have to make an appointment or come into the DMV and wait, then they do that exam.
I will just.
You know, so on the 502, so we don't break down. We know online transactions have gone up. And so the point I wanted to make here, we had 230,000 walk-in last year. We're just under 200,000 walk-in. But you can see the numbers of online transactions that were occurring.
Well, a lot of stuff you just do mail it. I still do.
So mail, we're still, the next slide, we've seen 196,000 applications in our mailing process. We are still receiving those and we will continue to receive those.
And you have an entity that processes.
Our mail processing unit.
Yeah, we don't. Here's many things. Are you talking about the lockbox where they drop them off?
Yeah, so that's registration renewals. Yeah. That is a lockbox service.
So we're not seeing a shift in Brattleboro.
Believe it's Williston now.
This is the team, I will tell you, with the modernization, process, that we're going through. This is the team that's gonna see the most changes as far as aligning their work and opportunities. This is also gonna be the unit that we are working the new system and the old system. And, you know, we're doing the best thing that we can, but we're really trying to structure this. One of the things we know is we need to take some of those staff and create a new service unit. And I know we've talked about this in the past because being so how many positions are you gonna see? You know, I'm sitting right now, everyone's getting realigned. This isn't about. Will be efficiencies, but first we have to realign the organization fit with the system. And we still have a whole other phase to. Driver improvement, this is where all of the phone calls come in. 193,000. We are still using a third party to help monitor schedule appointments online. Our contract we did reduce, I think, last year. But I believe they're still handling that, I think about 50,000, and we can confirm that. That's the last time I checked. All emails, and then driver improvement is corrected directly to judiciary.
And somebody asked me this, why do people issue a crash report to DMV? Yes.
Those two requires $3,000 over that you have to.
$3,000 payment.
Yes, sometimes what I understand that is if a law enforcement has been contacted, they will issue it even if it's under $3,000.
But a lot of times they do it. This person's like, yeah, you know, I got a company on the one. And-
Yeah.
and it's very- Yeah, you got it. Patient issue those all the DMV and
So it's, if it's two vehicle accident, there's 3 reports that come in, one from the officer, one from each operator. If there's,
the officer does it, the operator can also be.
they're gonna get a notice from us because we don't know what the total damage is, because it's an aggregate. So both cars need to exceed $3,000. So let's pretend the officer files and then you file and you put 1,500 down. We don't know what the other person's damage was. So we would, no, because they're not estimators or whatever. So we would then reach out to the other operator to say, hey, we've heard you're in an accident. Please file this report. We look at all the reports and say, oh, it's over 3,000. It becomes a reportable, or it's under 3,000. It's not a reportable. The majority of what DMV's involvement here is for insurance verification. You're required to have insurance on the vehicle at the time of operation. You have the card to show the officer. We communicate with the insurance company to verify that insurance was in force.
All parties basically, whether the law enforcement there or not,
Mhm.
a crash report.
Mhm.
And that's in my situation where you helped out with the individual. They didn't file a report.
Mhm.
They just thought that because law enforcement was called, they had no more responsibility.
Right.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense.
The inspection doesn't necessarily have any tie to insurance other than you have to have the insurance to get the inspection. So the vehicle would have to be registered in order to be insured.
And 2 years with no registration, no inspection. And he has a paper thing. And he said that he had insurance on it. So you could insure his car.
So I know, like, when my truck's registered right now and I have insurance. My insurance company doesn't know the status of my license plate. So I could choose to not renew my registration, therefore become unregistered and still maintain the insurance. My personal experience is when you're getting insurance, you have to show proof of registration.
I was approached the other day by somebody, and they said that, law enforcement stopped somebody with one of these plates that was expired, and they simply said that they were going to get treatment for methadone, and that they were told they weren't allowed stop it. That's, is that,
I've heard of that.
It's nothing I've ever heard of.
there's a problem.
Only been 3,000. And, why 3,000?
I do not have the answer off the top of my head. I know they increased it years ago, and I want to say it was more than 10 or 15 years ago. I don't know what the prior amount was. But nowadays, if you crack your bumper, you're talking $3,000.
Can you explain that again, like, why do you, so you report to the insurance company?
So-
When you're applying.
So when you fill out your accident report, we call it the accident tail, 2 portions at the end of it, and they ask you for the exact same information on your insurance company. We rip the bottom portion off and we send that to the insurance company. They have 15 days to reply back if you were not covered by insurance. If they do not notify us, then we deem you are covered by insurance and move forward. Sometimes they will respond back and say, no, this individual didn't have insurance, or perhaps somebody was driving your vehicle and they weren't extending coverage to that person.
So is it just a double check, if they have insurance, or showing a card to the officer?
Correct, because you get the card for a year and then you can cancel your insurance. So the possession of the card is great, but that final verification piece comes after the fact.
And I think she's ambulance that requires.
Mhm.
And so like it's check the box. And then when we find out, that you don't have insurance, it's just that we don't, as you have
SR 22.
22,
Mhm.
which could mean that we could suspend your license if you don't have insurance. There's not a suspension, there's not an action.
Only if you're involved in something. So statute says you have to be insured. We believe you're insured. You register your car within 15 days, you have to get it inspected. They check your insurance card at that point, but they're checking the piece of paper that it's valid. So the only time there's an interaction with an insurance company is after a crash. And then we would reach out for that verification.
That's probably happened, not their fault. But hey, what am I-
Right. And if both of those reports come in and we see it's under 3,000 and no one was hurt, meaning it's a non-reportable, we don't take any action. We don't reach out to the insurance company or anything. We gather the information and then proceed from there.
Of course,
Yes.
So if I take my daughter out, we hit a tree, my tree, and I do more than $3,000 worth of damage to my car. I believe that there's a law currently state I'm obligated to report to you,
Yes.
but if I don't,
If we don't know about it, we can't follow up on it, right? And when law enforcement's involved, they will send a report and then we'll say, hey, you didn't respond. So we'll mail you a letter and say, hey, we've heard you were in an accident. Please fill this form out. And then we learn more information.
Yeah, and also here's this, I think the Dallas one day, and it's like, why did I send myself this letter? So moving right along in commercial vehicles is also. And I know most of you know the Southern Branch. We processed 27,000 this year and collected, you'll see this in our budget, over 89 million in gas tax, 18.4 in diesel, 1.4 in and 12 million in IoT. They will tell you when we come into future language. I have paused the permitting project. Last February and March, there were a number of reasons. I sat down with previous secretary. And bring that back to you again. It was necessary. When you all started out, we had goals. We had desires for to create opportunities for municipalities and all these things. And because of the budget, it sort of goes to what Senator Mitchell was talking about. We started building our own solution, and the opportunities just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And it was a project that was not going to meet the deliverables. And instead of spending more money, stop and reset. So we will be in to talk about that, especially around.
Here you, 89 million. The previous year, I wonder if that's.
Like it was 92. We got a little shack.
There's gonna be, like, that stuff like. Oh, that's- Okay.
So our next division is the enforcement safety. This division has not changed, since last year, so commercial vehicle unit, the investigative unit, and our administrative unit. You'll see the data, we, had over 9,000 violations. We did 5,878 inspections, renewed or new, 549 dealer license, and we still have 1,076 inspections.
So it's 5,800.
Did most of the dealers with the switchover with the on-demand printing the stickers, and most of the dealers upgrade, stay?
Everybody is. That's why, I think you remember last week, Senator Kitchell was saying that someone that was her sticker was not legal because she had two. So we rolled out, and so I think it's March or April, you know, that's when we'll be in full compliance with the new stickers. But every station, you know, I really think the legislature, there was some carry forward funds, and we use that money to set the businesses up to be successful with sticker on demand, which was around $1 million. And I'm so pleased because internally, so now we pay as you go, pay as you use. Previous, you always had to buy a book of 20. You always had to give us, we held your cash, which is the worst thing to do for business. And then you had to return them and you get credit. So, you know, you were prepaying, and then we would get the funds you need.
Keep stolen on the station.
And well, and when we would do the audits in February, it's like, where are your November ones? And it's like, oh, I don't know. You know, so now it's stick on demand. So if you do 5 inspections, that's all you pay. Where you used to have to buy it over 20. And so it was just, it worked, but we have a modern system. I know businesses are very pleased with it. You know, there were some problems in the beginning with printing and getting a line, but it's like any other business, right?
So again, the on demand.
Well, if I'm standing in the if I'm standing, it's my right side.
Right. but
Yeah, but so we were really, we needed to, most of my place was the drivers. And it was fun safety for the individuals in the vehicle as much, because before, when an officer approached you, they would look at your sticker, they would try to look inside in some cases. And so now when they approach, it's right there. And it's visible. We are turning on the scanner. I just don't have the date, and Tony's not here, but it is going to be an app that is only available to law enforcement. But please remember, your license plate is where their information is coming from. A license plate, when an officer, any officer runs that license plate, they're getting every bit of information. So it's more now of a visual. It's right there. So now you're not engaging in all of the, you know, when did it expire? Does it look fraudulent?
you're not gonna do $50 a picture, they fine for it. I mean,
They're really, so if I put a photo of my kid next to it, that's against the
no,
law.
well, I know that would be.
You probably wouldn't be able to get your car inspected.
Okay. Did you do
So inspections, the inspection programs, the investigative. Some happens, is, and it's that. And on your slide, you will see, there's a picture of the print on demand. And we have a very good, another good partnership. There, and a lot of data on this program, that, anybody if you'd like to see, I'm happy to share, I can put it here, but we have monthly updates on how many vehicles were inspected, how many failed, what they failed for, how many stickers were issued, how many, breakdowns we had in the police service, they have a call center and they work directly with our business. In enforcement, we have an education unit, and because of the conversations around school buses that we have the other day, I would like an opportunity to come back and discuss school buses and driver education. Currently the chief of this unit is still out of the office and will be out this week. But I think it's important, I don't think we've talked about this program that often. So we support 43 standard and 8 commercial driver training schools. 8,848 students were trained, and this is outside of high school, which I think is really important just to make that, so high school is probably double. We have a hybrid driver education model allowing students to take portions online while maintaining in person. So during COVID, there's language that is in statute that says, you have to be in person for so many hours. There's also some authority that I have. It's flexible, depending on what that classroom hour looks like. So we modified this because every school district is operating differently since COVID. We had 47 school bus clinics, 581 new drivers, and drivers trained, 265 new drivers, and 316 renewing their certification. This is where I would like to put back at some point when and just share with you, the experience that we've had in Vermont and how we've had to. So there's federal law, but then there's also statute that the commissioner has on training materials, and there's flexibility in how we do that. And I'm not asking this legislative change because the language has given us opportunity to, I think, you've heard about newsfeed. Mike is working, we worked with Putney, but we also learned from that experience that we need to change one of our tests to, to make it more reasonable. And what we have right now is we have one exam that covers everything. And the reality in what's going on in school districts is you may not be driving a bus. You may be driving 15 passenger van or something else. So we're trying to align how we can get you certified for those unique areas.
No, I think you covered it.
We are still doing our motorcycle safety instruction program. It's a success. I also like to redo seatbelt inspections and child seat inspections, and we provide child passenger seatbelts. Well, money comes from the traffic safety group, but there are 15, and I will go out people in a new family that can't afford a child's seat. They'll install it, they'll teach them how to use it, and they drive away saying that.
But I ask for your help. If you restart, like, if they were, maybe that this year.
We have electric bikes now, and want to encourage them, but on the other hand, we have nothing. Shape. So, highway. So, I think the process this year again, to try to get what we can do before
I can just add on to it, so if I have any bike for my 13-year-old, and Fox says we're 12 and up, and my daughter, she's driving me bike out it. Nothing that she needs to sit down. Five, just thinking about, I just, before we get something that we're on each orders in the DMV, it seems to make sense that for the child, even, sort of, they have to answer some sort of series of questions, to be legitimately allowed to do.
little things. Together.
So Nancy, can you reach out to Tampa? See if we have some other
You're like, well, I think we're spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on a project that we do, we're well within our rights to make sure that, you know, we have safety and we're going to be mandating their safety out there.
I don't think it's still anything on you're no. Well, why you're going to wait? You know, regular license. They know. We are one of the best states. Why, we have to go highway. By all kinds of bike, I don't all kinds of things. But do people know how to use them when they buy a bike? That's the question. So anyway, look at roll out.
So we will do some research and see what some of the other states have done, because, you know, I reinvent the wheel. I don't think there's best practices out there, but I think I bet we'll find something.
Okay.
So, and the last thing, our DMV Finance and Logistics Division was led by Diane. You know, this is steady as it goes. This is where we collect the revenue, categorize the revenue, we pay the bills. We manage an audit unit because we're required to audit businesses. And I guess it's so retail. There are certain elements we have to manage our mail, we have to manage our inventory. Reduce the documents. So we have the group I don't really, I'll find out because unless one of my, I mean, I think there are guidelines, but we should find out, because I know if it's been in an accident, it's not recommended to use, but I'm sure people, because of affordability, don't, but, I'll find out.
Like when I was a new parent, I took my Chelsea to the troopers, monthly troopers. They inspected it and showed me everything's fine. Do we still do that, or we directed the DMV now?
I know when we provide that service, I do not have any knowledge of safety. Nancy, you know who the state police are?
I do not know if the state police are, however, I do know there are other entities on top of ours that do, and that many of the municipalities have some individuals that do the same thing that,
Fire.
That's all your base.
Yeah, if you want to, it's there. Fire station is.
Can't get the child out of the seat. So safe, but- We have 237.
Are you down on employees or?
So the temporary or the limited service have been hard for us to fill. Nancy's impact is the most, and I'm just curious whether vacancies right now. My permanent commissioners right now are not single. That's a lot for us. Out of my time, so I know. So that number has shifted down. We were,